3 weeks ago, my daughter called me and said, "Mom, we need to talk about your future." I am 81 years old. I knew exactly what that meant. Assisted living, a nursing home. That was what lay behind those words. I was silent on the phone for a few seconds, and in that silence, my entire life unfolded.
I didn't want to be anyone's sad story, so I called Sarah. She was happy, truly happy. She said she'd been worried for a long time but didn't want to push. Her husband Mark welcomed me warmly too. My granddaughters, Chloe and little Maya, met me at the door with a handmade "Welcome Home, Grandma" sign. The first week was like a holiday. We had dinner together. I read Maya bedtime stories. She'd fall asleep holding my hand. Chloe asked me about books, about poetry, about what David was like. I felt needed again, not just alive, needed. Those are very different things. But in the second week, reality set in. Sarah and Mark left early. The girls went to school. I was left alone in a house that wasn't mine. And that is a different kind of loneliness, worse than being home. Because at home, the loneliness was familiar. It was mine. Here it felt like guilt, like you're occupying a space where you don't belong. The little things started. "Mom, we don't open the windows here. Maya has allergies." "Mom, maybe go easy on the spices. Mark has a sensitive stomach." "Mom, we're going to a friend's place on Sunday. Do you mind being alone for a bit?" No one was cruel. They were just living their lives, and I was an extra piece in their puzzle. Someone everyone loves, but no one knows where to put. In the evenings, I sat in the living room. Beyond the wall, a family was laughing, their family, and I was right there, 6 feet away, and it was like I wasn't there at all. One night, I went out for a glass of water and heard Sarah on the phone with her sister. Quietly, but the words reached me. "I love her, Claire, you know I do, but I can't breathe. She wants everything her way, and I'm constantly worried something will happen when I'm not around."
I stood in the dark with a glass of water in my hand, and something inside me quietly broke, not out of resentment, out of understanding. Living with your children doesn't mean you stop being lonely. Sometimes it means being lonely among the people you love most in the world, and that hurts more than any other kind of solitude. After 2 months, I told Sarah I was moving back. She tried to stop me, but I could see through her love a thin thread of relief. She loved me, and she was glad I was leaving. Both parts of that truth were real. Both caused pain. Back home, it was clear I needed help. I hired a woman, Maria, professional, quiet, $3,500 a month. My Social Security is $1,800. The rest came from David's and my savings, from the money we'd set aside for decades, for the trip to Italy we never took, for the renovations we no longer needed. But it still didn't work. Maria put things in the wrong places. She organized my books with the spines facing in. It drove me crazy. This was my home, the last place where I had any control. Then her mother got sick. Another one came. I had to explain everything from scratch again. How I take my coffee, where the medicine is, how to set the alarm. Then a third. I grew tired of the process, tired of being a task someone was solving for a paycheck. So Sarah found an assisted living community, $5,000 a month. It's a great place, Mom. Beautiful gardens, high ratings. I agreed, not because I wanted to, because I didn't know what else to do. The day I moved in felt like a surrender. The walls beige, the curtains beige, the bedspread beige, as if someone had decided that old people aren't allowed to see colors. The first few days were tolerable. I met a few women, we played bridge, we walked through the garden, beautiful, manicured, like a movie set. But by the end of the first week, I started to suffocate. Everything was on a schedule, not as a suggestion, as a law. Wake up at 6:30, breakfast at exactly 7, dinner at 5:30. I have never in my life eaten dinner at 5:30. In Florida, we eat when the sun goes down. It's not a whim, it's my life, my rhythm, my body. At night, I love to read. Since I was young, that's been my time. After 11, when it's quiet, when it's just you and the book. Here, they dim the hall lights at 9, and if they saw light under the door, they'd knock. Mrs. Evans, it's getting late. I am 81 years old. I survived the death of my mother, the death of my husband, illnesses, fears, years and years. And now a girl young enough to be my granddaughter is telling me when to sleep? One evening, a warm evening, almost summer, I decided to go out into the garden, to look at the stars, just to breathe. A young staff member stopped me. Mrs. Evans, the doors are locked after 7. Safety policy. Those words became a cage for me. I just wanted to stand under the stars. I'm not crazy. I'm not in danger. I want air. If something happens, we are responsible, he said. I went back to my room. I sat by the window, and I realized suddenly, very clearly, that I wasn't a person here. I was a liability. We were all liabilities, and even those who could still walk, think, and laugh lived as if they had already given up, as if life was behind them, and the head was only the waiting. 3 weeks later, I called Sarah. Come get me. She said, Mom, you promised to try it for a month. I replied, I've tried enough. I'd rather fight at home on my own terms than comfortably fade away in a beautiful cage. When I walked out of there, the sun, the ordinary Florida sun, seemed brighter than ever. I breathed differently, deeper. But at home, nothing had changed. The situation was the same. I sat by the window, that same one with the view of the Gulf and David's chair nearby, and thought, what now? I'd tried everything, and it all turned out to be either unbearable or impossible. For the first time in a long while, I truly didn't have an answer. I hardly went out for a few days. That was a first too. Then, one day, I finally went out for groceries. Slowly, but I went. And at the entrance of my building, I ran into a neighbor. Her name is Amanda. She's lived in our building for maybe 3 years. In her early 30s, beautiful, exhausted. That day especially so. Phone to her ear, voice on the edge. No, Jason, I can't leave early again. That's the 3rd time this month. She hung up. I saw, for 1 second, the tears she immediately hid. I knew a little bit about her life.
Her husband works on a rig, away for 2 months, back for 3 weeks. She's alone with a daughter, about 7 or 8, Lily, I think that was it. I didn't think, I just walked up to her. Amanda, if you need someone to pick up Lily from school, I'm walking right past there every day anyway. She looked at me as if I'd said something impossible. I can't ask you to do that, Mrs. Evans. You're not asking, I said. I'm offering. She agreed. She said her boss had already warned her, 1 more late arrival, and that's it. If you're watching this video right now and recognize yourself or someone close to you in this story, write about it in the comments. It's important for me to know I'm not alone, and it might be important for you to know it too.
The next day, I was standing at the school gates. I felt a little ridiculous. 81 years old, a former English teacher, waiting for someone else's child. And then I saw the girl, in red sneakers, with pigtails, with a backpack almost as big as she was. She stood by the gate, looking around, a little lost, the way only children can when they don't see a familiar face. "Lily, I'm Mrs. Evans. Your mom asked me to pick you up today." The girl looked at me seriously, sizing me up the way only children can, and then she just took my hand, as if it was meant to be, as if we'd known each other forever. She talked the whole way about a friend who wouldn't share a crayon, about a poem they were memorizing, about a cat she saw in the yard. I walked beside her and thought, I'd forgotten what it feels like when someone wants you to listen to them, when you are needed just because, not because you're helpless, but because you're there. When Amanda got home, she brought a container of soup. "I made extra. Please take some." I tried to decline. "Mrs. Evans, you are helping me. Let me help you." She said it simply, without long explanations. And that's how it all began. Every day I picked up Lily. Every day Amanda brought something, sometimes soup, sometimes just oranges from the store. Her husband Jason came home a month later. On the very first day, he stopped by, fixed the door handle that had been loose since David's time. He changed the light bulb in the hallway that I could no longer reach. Amanda showed me how to order groceries online. I didn't think I could at my age, but she sat with me, explained it calmly, without a hint of condescension. And Lily started stopping by just because, to show me a drawing, to tell me what happened at school. One day she came with a book of fairy tales and asked me to read aloud, like a real teacher. I read her Robert Frost. She didn't understand all the words, but she listened, seriously, without moving. "Mrs. Evans, did you ever write poems yourself?" I laughed for the first time in a long while. One day Amanda came over for a cup of tea. We sat on the balcony, that same one with the view of the Gulf. She was silent for a moment, then said, "Mrs. Evans, you have no idea what you've done for me. I was at a breaking point, crying in my car before work just so Lily wouldn't see. I couldn't breathe, and now I can. You gave me back the chance to be myself." My throat tightened. I said quietly, "And you did the same for me, Amanda. I'd forgotten what it means to be useful, not because I'm weak, but because I have something to give." That is what was missing from every single one of those solutions I tried.
With Sarah, I felt like a burden, no matter what she said. With Maria, it was a service for money, nothing more. At the assisted living home, I was a unit in a ledger, a risk to be managed. But here, I'm not just receiving help, I'm giving it.
and that changes everything. It gives you back. I think about the money that flowed away for caregivers, about the savings David and I built for years, for living, not for my maintenance. And I compare it to what I have now, almost no cost, but with real warmth. Money buys services, it doesn't buy relationships. Amanda doesn't help me because she's being paid. She helps because I help her. It's an honest exchange between equals, without pity, without obligation. Simply, we need each other, and in that there is a massive, fundamental difference. I am 81 years old. I've tried everything, and this chance story with a neighbor, this is what works. Not because it's perfect, because it's real. I found what the experts don't talk about, something between total independence and total dependence, a space where you can accept help and not lose yourself, where you are important not because someone is obligated to make you happy, but because you are actually important. You don't have to choose between a lonely existence and surrendering to the system. There is a third way. It's called people, living, real people who also need something. Old age doesn't make you useless. It just changes what you have to offer. I can't carry heavy things, but I can pick up a child from school. I can't climb a stool, but I can read poetry so that a little girl doesn't move or breathe. I have time, I have experience, I have a life, and it's worth something. Last week, Lily lost her first tooth. She ran to me with a grin from ear to ear, showing the gap, laughing. "Mrs. Evans, I wanted you to be the first to see." Not her mum, me. I stood in the doorway and looked at that smile, and suddenly I realized, this is it. This is what I was missing in all the other options. Being someone's first choice. Being the person they run to, not because there's nowhere else to go, but because it's you. For that smile, it was worth going through everything. To those who are currently looking after their moms and dads, don't think you know what they need. Ask them, truly. Listen to what they are afraid of losing. Don't just find them a place, find them a life. To those who are facing this choice themselves, you don't have to disappear just because you need help. Look around. Who is nearby? Who needs what only you can give? I almost walked past Amanda that day. She was crying, and I could have pretended not to notice. Plenty of other people's tears in the world. But I stopped. I spoke. I offered. And it changed everything. I'm not saying it's all easy now. There are hard days. Someday I'll need more than a neighbor can give. But that day isn't today. Today I'm going to get Lily. Tonight Amanda will knock with dinner. On Saturday we're going to read aloud. She asked for Mark Twain. Little things, ordinary things, living things. I'm 81. I live alone. I need help. But I'm not waiting for the end. I'm living. My solution looks like an exhausted young mom and her daughter with red sneakers who thinks of me as a friend. Your solution will look different. No es. You just have to be brave enough to find it. Brave enough to say out loud, I can help. Do you need it? You'll be surprised how often the answer is yes. Thank you for listening to me to the end. Truly, thank you. Write in the comments, how old are you and where are you watching from? It's important to know how far this story reaches. And if it touched you, share it with someone else who might need it. Until next time, my dear, take care of yourself and those nearby.